So tonight, with faith and devotion, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. Thank you.
Now that former President Donald Trump accepted the Republican Party's nomination, all eyes are on current President Joe Biden. He's been under fire ever since his shaky debate performance, and rumors have been swirling about him stepping down as the Democratic Party's presumptive 2024 nominee. Though President Biden and his closest advisors say he's staying in the race, he's expected to make a major announcement in the coming days. To talk more about all of this, we're joined now by the Hill's White House correspondent, Alex Gangitano. Alex, thanks for joining us. Former President Trump made his first speech since the assassination attempt on his life, and as the Republican presidential nominee. What are the biggest takeaways from last night?
Yeah, a lot of takeaways from last night. The former president started his speech by recounting what happened during the assassination attempt at the rally in Pennsylvania just last Saturday. He said that it's almost too painful to tell again, so he was only going to do it one time. He praised the Secret Service for protecting him that day. He thanked God for protecting him that day. He honored the fallen at the rally. So it was definitely a moving beginning. And then the former president broke into a typical former President Trump speech during which he bashed Nancy Pelosi. He name-checked President Biden, although he said that he wasn't going to. We also heard him talk about Hungary's Viktor Orban. So there was a lot going on. Later in his speech, he talked a lot about the economy and things that he would do to help inflation while, taking on this current administration and saying that they have been weak on issues like the economy, issues like foreign policy. So there was a lot going on in that speech, but I do think that first, 4 minutes or so was really notable, and it showed kind of a really genuine, maybe even softer Trump as he recounted what happened to him last weekend.
Yes, like you said, a lot going on there. But on the other side, how is the White House reacting to this? What is the Biden administration saying?
Yeah, so we actually just heard from President Biden moments ago, issued a statement basically saying that voters saw last night the same Trump that they rejected 4 years ago when they kicked him out of office and elected him. He basically said for over 90 minutes, the former president focused on his own grievances when he didn't have plans to unite and make the country better for working people. Those are two things that people were curious if the former president would want to talk about, uniting Republicans and Democrats, especially in the wake of the shooting. Meanwhile, we've also heard from Biden's reelection campaign, who said that the president is more determined than ever to beat Trump after hearing that speech. And this is all part of them insisting at the same time that President Biden is staying in this race.
Right. Well, there is reporting that President Biden is set to make a major announcement on his campaign in the coming days. Do we know what we can expect from the president on that?
Yeah, that's the big question right now. There's been reports swirling over, are we going to see an announcement in the next 3 days? Are we going to see the president be the Democratic nominee come Monday evening? There's a lot of factors here at play. First of all, the president is in Rehoboth at his beach house with COVID-19. So that's just an added layer to all of this speculation over if he were to make some sort of announcement. But we are hearing from sources that people do expect an announcement in the coming days. The president is under major pressure right now. Just today, Senator Martin Heinrich of New Mexico became the third senator to call for Biden to step down. We've also heard from 4 sitting House Democrats calling for him to step down. This is all coming as, like I mentioned before, the White House and Biden campaign aides are insisting that he's staying in. We heard from campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon on Morning Joe on Friday morning, basically saying, absolutely, the president is in this race and he's more committed than ever to beating Trump.
Well, Biden is tripling down that he is not going to step out of the race, but we know behind the scenes he's faced pressure from top Democrats, especially in the House. So if he decides to stay in, can he unify the party behind his campaign, given the fracture that exists right now?
It's a big question. Democrats' internal issues right now are really being aired publicly. Members that have called for him publicly to step down took a big plunge to do so. But he's also facing a lot of support among Democrats. He has support from the Progressive Caucus. He has support from the CBC, from the CHC. Those are really notable voting blocks that are behind the president. But at the same time, when we hear reports of former Speaker Nancy Pelosi or Leader Chuck Schumer behind some of these calls for him to step down, those definitely cause divisiveness inside the party. I will say, if the president insists he's sticking in it, he doesn't leave before the convention, I think it would be a major challenge for the party to be able to unify at the convention. But I think they would be up to the challenge because a lot of them have reiterated time and time again that beating former President Trump is the main goal here.
Right. And while Biden has continued to say he's going to stay in the race, Vice President Kamala Harris has received support from inside the party to take over the campaign. So who do you think are the potential frontrunners to join her on a possible ticket?
A lot of names have been floated in recent days who would be a great asset to a ticket with Vice President Harris at the top of it. Some of those are Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, who has really been in the spotlight recently following the shooting last week. We also have heard Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, a former astronaut, and his wife is a gun violence survivor and advocate, Gabby Giffords. So these are also all people that are from states that are essential to Democrats. States like North Carolina, Arizona, Pennsylvania, that having somebody from those states on the ticket would be very helpful. So those are just some of the names. But as also while I'm talking to sources during the speculation, they insist that the Democratic bench is very, very strong. And there are a ton of people who could step up to the plate.
Well, the latest polling numbers show a pretty grim outlook for Biden. How is the Biden campaign reacting to those numbers?
Yeah, they are saying, things have been tough in the last few weeks. Ever since the debate, they saw polling, take a hit. And I think that as polling starts to come out after the former President Trump's assassination attempt, after the Republican National Convention, which Republicans did appear very unified, I think they will continue to see polling take a plunge. I think they're kind of waiting to see what happens there, but it wouldn't be, surprising considering the strength, I think, behind the Republican Party right now. So I definitely think they're bracing for more bad news. But in order to counter that, we're going to see, I think, the president campaigning once he recovers. He was in Nevada campaigning, which is another essential state, when he got diagnosed with COVID-19. We've also seen Harris really step up to the plate and campaign. She was in North Carolina while the president was kind of out of commission, isolating. She was campaigning with Cooper there to tout, the Biden-Harris ticket. So I think we're going to see her stepping up. I think we're going to see surrogates stepping up and really trying to make the rounds to these really essential states. But now that the president has had a few days that he didn't get to do any public events, I think we will want to see him get back on the campaign trail.
Well, one notable speaker at the Republican National Convention was Teamsters President Sean O'Brien, which is a major blow to the Biden campaign that has heavily focused on the support of unions. What was their reaction to his speech?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the president has really been focused on his support from unions. He always says he's the most pro-union president in U.S. history, and that unions brung him to the dance, as he says, when he's on the campaign trail. So this is a huge hit for the Biden campaign that the Teamsters have not just gone ahead and endorsed him yet. They endorsed him in 2020. And then, like you mentioned, President Sean O'Brien spoke at the RNC. He also called, President Trump tough, and he's praised him while also praising President Biden. I think he's kind of keeping everybody on his toes here. He has said that he asked to also speak at the DNC, but it is notable that the DNC does not release their list of speakers, but he claims that the DNC has not accepted his invitation. So I think what the Biden campaign is hopeful here is that the Teamsters come around like all other unions, like most other unions have, and endorse the president. But meanwhile, the Teamsters are definitely keeping them with bated breath at this point.
All right, last question, Alex. Bold PAC, which is the political arm of the Congressional Hispanic Conference, has endorsed the president. Do you think this could at all put a dent in the Trump campaign's effort to garner support among Hispanic voters?
Yeah, I think that endorsement was a really big one that the president got today, and it came at a good time when he needed, people rallying behind him. He needs some support among his own party. And I do think the Trump campaign has been looking to Latino voters, Black voters as a voting bloc that they can chip away from and take some support from the Biden campaign. But a big endorsement like this, I think you're right, is helpful to the Biden campaign. It shows that Latinos have his back and want to see another 4 years of him, even among the turmoil within the Democratic Party. And I think we're going to see the Biden campaign really lean on that and tout that endorsement over the weekend as a big one that they were able to get.
Alex Gangitano, thanks so much.
Thank you.
A worldwide internet outage that spread across the globe overnight has grounded flights, knocked banks offline, and disrupted medical systems. The outage was caused by a software update for Microsoft Windows issued by cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. While a fix has been deployed, businesses worldwide are still impacted by it. Over 27,000 flights were delayed globally, and more than 1,000 flights were canceled nationwide. Healthcare systems across the U.S. were also impacted, with some hospitals forced to cancel surgeries and non-urgent visits. The CEO of CrowdStrike has apologized for the massive outage, saying the company knows what the issue is and is currently working to resolve it. The company has also confirmed that the impact was not caused by a cyber attack. A drone strike hitting a building in Tel Aviv has left one person dead and 8 others injured, according to Israeli officials. The drone was launched in Houthi-dominated Yemen overnight, striking the building in central Tel Aviv. Dozens of drones have been launched from Yemen since October, with U.S. forces or Israeli troops intercepting most of them. Officials say they are examining the incident, and the strike comes as more than 38,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel launched its military offensive. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich has been sentenced to 16 years in prison in Russia. Prosecutors allege he was spying for the CIA and originally asked for an 18-year sentence. Gershkovich and the Wall Street Journal vehemently deny the charges. In a statement Friday morning, the newspaper's editor-in-chief called it a, quote, disgraceful sham conviction and said they are committed to his release. That's today's Daily Debrief. I'm Bianca Facchinei. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel, and come back here soon for the intersection between politics and policy.